My name is Anthony, and I'm going to give you a glimpse of the 10-year process of me becoming a software dev.
Now, let's go back to 2013 where it all began. I'm a senior in college at the University of Central Missouri, and I was expected to graduate the following year. I was studying computer-aided drafting and design. A popular app had just came out that year called, you guessed it, Flappy Bird. I jumped into the hype train and was playing it nonstop. I was always interested in tech stuff and was considered the IT guy of my family and was always called to come over and fix computer stuff. After playing that game for a while, I had wondered, how did the creator of this game make this? Which led me down a rabbit hole of my first programming language that I would get exposed to, which was Objective-C and Swift. Swift came out in 2014 and I thought to myself, I'm going all in. At that time, there was a few online resources to learn coding. YouTube was the route that I chose. I was able to learn how to create apps using the storyboard feature, which helped me to ease into the workflow of Xcode, which was used to make apps for Apple products. I was able to make some simple introductory apps like to-do lists, and I had a long way to go. The end of my senior year was approaching, and I realized I was in love with creating apps and the power it gave me to create anything you wanted. I was faced with a big decision: get my degree and continue school for computer science, or start working immediately after graduation and pursue app and web development on the side. Well, I chose to graduate and pursue on the side to give my CAD career a try and see how I would like it while continuing developing apps and learning CS concepts on the side. So that leads to 2014 and 2015, where, I spent time getting used to my career as a CAD technician. I admit, trying to learn Apple and web development on the side was extremely hard, especially when workloads at work were increasing quite a bit. I got married in 2015, and my wife did all that she could to help me find time to learn. 2016 came, and I noticed I had fell off my learning path. So I decided to switch gears and primarily learn web development, which was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript at the time, and a little bit of jQuery. I thought to myself, if I could learn a little each week, I would progress a lot further. Well, let's just say with my workload at work, I was happy to even get study time once a week. I did decide to use some PTO for a week and travel with my wife to a conference she was speaking at. I felt like this was my chance to deep dive and really learn. I felt like I got the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with jQuery down, but was I confident enough to start making projects? That was the big question. And then 2017 came along, and I decided this was the year I would at least start making projects to build up confidence. I was able to make a front-end static website for my job that organized out our client standards. I felt like this was a huge step in progress. Now, granted, the usual way things were organized was still the preferred way of accessing standards, so no one at my job really used what I made, but I still consider it a win because it actually had me creating something and practicing some of those concepts that I learned. So then we get to 2018. 2018 came along, and that is where I discovered Python and the PyCharm IDE. And yes, I know, before you say it, I should have kept one language and got comfortable with that. But I started learning Python and fell in love with the syntax and just how powerful it was. Using Python also led me down the Stack Overflow rabbit hole to figure out how to do very specific scripts like converting lat longs to XY coordinates and other random stuff. But 2019 came along, and I went down Java and Kotlin rabbit hole to create mobile apps and figured out the basics of it. Then I jumped back to Python and made some experimental projects with the Django framework. I know, I should have stuck with one language. Then 2020 rolls along and happens, and then the pandemic comes up. I ended up working from home that year. During that year, it did end up winding up getting to use Google and using these different certification courses that had just came out through Coursera. I tried out the UX design course just to see if I would like it. I got 85% done with it, and you guessed it, then I ended up going back into the office toward the end and did not pick back up. Workload picks up at work, and I ended up never completing it, and I ended the subscription. Didn't know that would really reset my whole progress in the course, and I regret that. Then 2021 comes, and I'm diving fully into Python. I get comfortable in it. I made some helpful scripts at work to help me automate some tasks. Oh, and my son is born this year. This was even more motivation to build a solid portfolio and learn. 2022 comes along, and I'm still diving into Python, dabbling with the Django framework and creating example projects. That kind of rolls along throughout the year, and then here comes 2023. 2023 comes along, and right at the beginning of the year, my boss tells me to check out a new app called, you guessed it, ChatGPT. I try it out, and it changes the way I learn coding from that point on. I initially would spend my time in Stack Overflow looking for coding help in previous years. Now this new app was able to answer my coding questions and show me new ways of doing things in my code. And it sped up my workflow when it came to coding. I ended up building a web app chatbot for my team that organized standards and could be queried by a JSON file that contained the keywords and the matching answers in it with the help of YouTube. And when I hit a snag for customized things, ChatGPT was able to help me fix the bugs. I created a Python version first, and then I realized the user interface options that were available for making the GUI didn't really have the style I was looking for visually. Then I created a web app version that looked visually better since I could customize it with, more options using CSS and JavaScript. This project taught me a crap ton and was what I needed to progress my learning. This project also caught the eye of management, which led to me moving into a new dev role mid-year. Throughout this 10-year process, I learned two major things. Number one, creating a project was the best way for me to learn. It got me out of the tutorial and course rabbit hole. Number two, even though I ended up learning multiple languages over the years, it did help me grasp the CS concepts that are used to learn all of the languages. So when I would pick up from one language and go to another language, I pretty much figured out this is basically the same concept, just written differently. If you're looking at other YouTubers and seeing them become devs in a short amount of time, just know everyone has their own journey. I've had a heavy workload over the past few years, which led me to learning code whenever I had free time. It may have taken me 10 years to get an actual dev position, but I feel everything I learned prepared me for what I'm doing now. I'm currently making Python Django apps for my company. I wanted to share my journey to inspire others that no matter how long it seems like it's taking you to learn, just don't give up. Still progress forward to move into a dev position. Keep pushing. You never know which portfolio project will capture the attention of the right person. The type of things I will post on this channel will be coding tips, learning techniques, and sharing new things that I've learned. Thanks for checking out my channel. Feel free to subscribe and comment with your experience underneath the video.